Welcome to Uncluttered and Unfiltered, the podcast urging you to let it go and don't look back. With nationally acclaimed professional organizer Christine Stone and self-proclaimed hot damn mess radio and TV personality Eden Kendall.
Welcome, everybody, to Uncluttered and Unfiltered, the podcast for women over 50, Mean Girls episode. Oh. I'm Eden.
And I'm Christine.
And if you are watching us on our bonus member Patreon page, you'll see we're both, you took your vest off, I noticed.
It's freezing in Florida.
It's really cold in Florida, which is something that is unusual.
Yes.
And I'm still in my hoodie. I just couldn't even bring myself to but you're cold because
I'm cold. I'm cold.
And I realize there are people listening where it is snowing and really cold.
Right.
So you do not sympathize with us. I'm just saying, if you're watching videos from this episode, I'm snuggled up and you are cold.
I'm cold.
We're going to talk about Mean Girls today, but first of all, this is our first time back together after Thanksgiving. So tell me how it was. You were with your daughter that lives in Nashville, and you were visiting with your grandson.
With my grandson, who's getting so big now. And my in-laws, my son-in-law's family was there as well. And so we had a big group, and my brother also lives there, and his wife and family. So it was a big group. And we brought my 85-year-old mother with us.
Okay, let's talk about that for just a minute.
I love you, Mom, because I know she listens.
We all love her. And I have no doubt in my mind that was so special, and memories were made and photos were taken, and it was the best thing ever, but it could not have been easy.
Well,
in fairness,
traveling with anyone during a holiday
adds stress.
Never easy.
Exponentially adds stress because of different personalities.
Right. And also, you always see your own mother as someone who's young. Mm-hmm. No matter what.
Sure.
You see them as your mom.
Yes.
And so when they get to a certain age, that shifts. And it's a normal shift. It's not like, but I think, it was definitely a different trip seeing the help she needed to get around and that type of stuff. So that was different.
And she's coming off of a medical situation.
Yes.
So that's why I was asking if that was a little more difficult.
Right.
But I'm sure worth every
penny. And hey, she still cooked all her best dishes. She did? Yes, she sure did.
She baked. Did she do a lot of desserts?
She baked, and she made her famous rice that we all love. And so it's difficult traveling during a holiday weekend anyway. So just having someone who needs special attention, and you have to worry, my big thing right now is the tripping. Watch where you're going, look ahead, because a fall at 85 is different than when you fall at 55. So
sure.
Anyway, but it was fun. It was definitely so much fun to see my grandson, who's getting older and now talking, which it just is so cute.
He's saying Cece.
Cece.
And
Cece.
what is your mom's nickname?
Siddu, which is she's Lebanese, so that's Lebanese for
Siddu.
Yes, Siddu.
I love that you've maintained that cultural piece of her background, and that's fantastic. We don't talk about that very often. But
no, we really don't.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's do that one day. Talk about our cultural backgrounds.
Right.
Because I was raised in a Jewish home.
Yes.
And you were raised with
Greek
and
Lebanese.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got really great food.
Yeah, I imagine.
Really great food.
Our food wasn't terrific. Nobody in my immediate family is an amazing cook. So we went to Buca di Beppo in South Florida, which is an Italian restaurant, but they serve a traditional Thanksgiving, and it was pretty good. There is something to be said, especially being married to a Midwesterner.
Yeah.
Where his mom makes for Christmas and Thanksgiving fried turkey like you would fry a chicken, not the dunk it into the deep fryer, but cut it up, bread it, fry it.
Wow.
Gravy.
That actually sounds good, though.
It's delicious.
Really good.
I'm a little spoiled when it comes to a holiday meal because of her. So, and she's probably listening right now too. So to aspirations to cook like Sharon one day.
Yum.
The person on my trip that brought a little bit of stress, instead of packing her shoes, her medicine that she needs every day, and her contact lenses.
Oh my God.
She packed a bunch of potatoes. In other words, handing me potatoes to carry for her. If you don't know what that means, that's from
you have to go back.
episode.
Yeah, you have to go back to our other episode.
It's from another episode. It's when someone hands you their issues and they become your issues.
Right.
So we had to find a CVS to.
How'd you get the contacts?
We didn't.
Oh, she had to wear glasses?
She had to. No, she did not bring her glasses.
Oh.
She had to coast on the same pair of reusable contacts for the whole time, which is not ideal.
No.
And then no shoes.
None?
No shoes other than the boots she was going to wear to dinner because we went straight from here to the restaurant. So in the car, she had on her boots. So we were in Coconut Grove, walking all over the place from the hotel. The first thing we had to do was go buy her a pair of shoes because on Thanksgiving, when we were driving down, you couldn't stop anywhere because nothing was open. So it was great. And she's 24, by the way. So this is not, as you're listening and thinking, oh, the 12-year-old forgot her shoes. No.
Well, if I travel with my kids who are all grown adults now, but if we're going on to a family thing, I always bring 2 razors, 2 toothbrushes, 2 face washes because they always forget those type of things. And now I'm used to it. So I just pack 2 of everything. So I'm almost used to it now. I mean, you know.
Oh my. Well, my little apple doesn't fall far from
right.
the tree. Clearly. All right, let's get into our topic right now.
Okay.
Mean girls. Now, is mean girls still an issue when you are a woman over 50? I believe it is.
I totally believe it is. And I hear it even from women who live in those over 55 communities, who live in the, assisted living areas. Always I hear stories about either they're always after the same man because they're mostly widowed. And so they're all fighting over the same couple of guys, or they'll fight with each other. Like, you're cheating at bridge. You
Mahjong.
didn't.
My mom, let me tell you, if you can get yourself kicked out of a Mahjong game,
right.
It's happened to, my mom's not the mean girl. But there are definite mean girls at the place she lives, the assisted living. It's not assisted, rather, but it's it's one of those over 55.
Yeah, over 55.
And they have all kinds of things and group cruises.
Right.
And there's a lot of so-and-so is going to room with me and now she's rooming with her, or we don't want her at our Mahjong game anymore because.
Absolutely. So I don't think it ends just because you're over 50. I mean, at all. I think sometimes it could almost be a little bit worse because as you age, you might not feel as good about yourself anymore. You don't look the same. Whatever the situation is. So there's a lot of jealousy. I feel mean girls, whether you're young or old, is a lot to do with jealousy.
A lot to do with insecurity and jealousy.
Yes.
And tearing someone's building down instead of building yours higher.
Yes.
And I told you this before we started this episode. I live in fear that I'm a secret mean girl, not on the outside and not to someone's face, but I tend to think I overanalyze this a lot. And you and I have talked quite a bit about what I call is my imposter syndrome. And we could do a whole episode on this, but I really question my motives. Sometimes I'll do something really nice for somebody. And then I ask myself, now, did I do that because in my mind I saw a need and I wanted to fill it? Or did I do that because I saw an opportunity for me to be a good guy? And I know that ultimately what matters is the end result, but there's still that piece of me that wants to tear myself down and say, well, you're a mean girl. You don't do things. You're not so nice. You've got everyone fooled.
See, and I think, first of all, I would have never in a million years thought that you were a mean girl because I've been around you so much now and you bend over backwards for people around you and you never say no to anything ever. And so I was saying to you, why do you think that? Because someone who's constantly busy and going and doesn't have time to even probably go to the bathroom, to me, that's just someone who's busy, not mean. And I think it could be taken as standoffish or whatever, but you're just always having to go from one place to another. You'd love to stop and chat, but you just really can't because you'll be late to the next place you're going. So I never saw that ever. I mean, personally, me, but I think you can get mean girl mixed up with wanting to be noticed.
Okay. A little.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Interesting.
Yes.
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 Interesting. Or wanting to be thought of in a certain way, or wanting somebody to say,
Validate
"Thank
you
Validate
or
me.
make you say, God, she's so nice. Or she would never say anything like that. You know what I mean?
So here's something. Let me give you a great example of the difference between you and I. There is something that you and your family have done for many, many, many years on Christmas morning. You get up and you go to the homeless shelter and you celebrate with the kids.
Yes. Well, we haven't done it in the past couple of years since I had my own grandson,
Right, I
but
get it, but
we
that's-
used to, yes,
yeah, all
every
the
single
time.
year for a long time.
It's like pulling teeth to get you to tell people that. And the director of the homeless shelter, I had an opportunity to sit and have a meal with fairly recently, and she was raving on it. And I'm like, this is not something she talks about. She just does it. If it were me, I'm afraid to say that probably I would be, what do they call that term when you're doing these things socially so that everyone sees posturing, or it's just meant to be like a good look.
Mhm.
And I always question my motivation. Did I do it for the right reasons? Sure, I felt good after the fact, but did I do it so I could say I did it? I don't know. I get super hyper.
I think that you're getting that mixed up though, because I don't see that as a mean girl. I see wanting to be recognized, wanting somebody to say that was such a sweet, thoughtful thing.
Right.
Whereas a mean girl is, so you and I are sitting with a group of women
Okay.
for lunch.
Right.
Okay. You get up to go to the bathroom and they start tearing you apart. Did you see those pants she was wearing?
Yes.
Look at those eyelashes. What did she do to her hair? Oh my God. Hey, did she stop working out? Or the opposite, she's gotten so thin she must be anorexic.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
She must be on weight loss drugs.
Or she must be on Ozempic or whatever. To me, that gives me anxiety, major anxiety, because I don't like when people say mean things about other people.
And I do think, to your point, that I'm only recently realized that in my line of work, being a DJ on the radio, doing a morning show, being on social media and doing all of these things, it's so a joke at someone's expense or a comment where somebody has done or said something that you could make fun of is such an easy, quick laugh. And I'm trying to get away from that.
Right.
So for example, there was a young country artist on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade named Dasha. And the big story this morning was that she had lipstick all over her face. Well, here's her big moment. And she put the microphone too close. It was wet. It was raining.
It was pouring.
And she smeared, her lipstick was smeared all over her chin. And the first part of me would want to say, like, oh, that's such an easy, fun story to tell. Oh my gosh, she had the lipstick all over her face. Did you see that? But instead, the really cute thing is all of the other women that came out to say, hey, girl, it happens to the best of us. Lesson learned. Next year, you'll know. And that kind of thing. People were really sweet about it, saying, this happens. It's, you should still be really excited and proud that you were in this parade. And I just think that there's this part of me that instantly is like, oh, I got to talk about that. Somebody else had a misstep. Somebody else had an unfortunate incident or something looked silly on them. And I want to be the one to point it out.
Really? God, I guess because I've never seen that side of you ever, not even once, seen that side.
I think I'm just putting a lot of thought lately into my thoughts that are going on inside my head. I don't think I do them on the outside, but I think they go on inside my head to the point where I'm constantly saying, don't be a mean girl. Don't be a mean girl. And I think that it worries me. Like, do I have this in me?
No, I don't think so.
Mean girl.
No, like I said, I feel with social media now that there are so many mean girls out there, and it's mainly everyone who is sitting home or, not working or in their parents' basement or whatever they say now, where they're just criticizing people to criticize them. And I see it worse on TikTok than I do Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I would not have the strength to be able to take that type of criticism. I think you have to be a very strong person to have everything about you torn apart. And to me, that's a mean girl. That's somebody who can't say, like, whether you have an imperfection on your page, even a zit. I mean, people, did you see that zit on her face? Or,
Right.
oh, I don't like the way she colored her hair. Or, what was she thinking when she wore that top? Now, don't get me wrong. If you're sitting around with your family, like meaning your husband, your kids, and you say something like, oh, wow, look at that shirt. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you are with a group of other women. I always wonder when I see stuff like that, like in the comments on social media, like what would make someone want to sit down and write a mean comment about someone else?
I do not understand
don't get it. I don't know if it's because I'm over 50. I don't know what it is, but I find that not just a mean girl. I find it incredibly disturbing.
Our quality of life matters. Menopause shouldn't take anything away from us. No two women experience it the same way.
And yet none of us are alone.
Hormone Harmony recognizes all of those symptoms we've talked about so much on this podcast, like feeling down and uncomfortable in your own body.
Hot flashes, sleepless nights.
Now it's easier to manage menopause with Hormone Harmony, science-backed herbal extracts called adaptogens. They help the body adapt to stressors like chaotic hormonal changes.
Women cannot stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds.
That really says something. The biggest benefit I'm hearing about is, quote, feeling like myself again. That is what women are mentioning over and over again in their reviews. For a limited time, you can get 15% off on your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code UUPodcast at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code UUPodcast for 15% off today. Uncluttered and Unfiltered is supported by Hearts for Minds. Can you imagine waiting 11 years to get screened for cancer? On average, people with mental health issues experience an 11-year delay between symptoms and seeking help. And close to 2/3 of mental illnesses go untreated. Hearts for Minds promotes healthy lives by promoting mental health education, facilitating early identification, and connecting people to treatment. Are you ready to learn more? Go to heartsforminds.org. That's hearts, the number 4, minds.org for more information or to learn how you can help.
You know where it is the wild, wild west for that? And we are on all of the social medias, mostly. There's probably something new that we don't know about because we're over 50.
Right.
YouTube is the wild, wild west of choice.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that too.
People are so mean. We've had people make fun of us. You and I.
Right.
And you know, some podcasts enjoy sitting and reading the mean comments. Right. They're spread out, so I don't even want to spend the time collecting them.
I don't pay attention to anything like that.
But people will say, it's funny, I'll post the exact same video on every different format. And then on YouTube, someone comes along and says something very nasty. Yeah. I just don't know what kind of unhappiness you have to be enduring.
Well, and here's the thing. If you turn comments off, then the algorithms or something like that, they punish you for it because you've turned off all your comments. But you know, I think at my age, I don't care. If I were to see that, I would just turn the comments off. Sure. But I just think that everything right now has become a very mean girls kind of society, especially for women under 40, especially.
Oh, that is rough.
Because there's Instagram, the way your life appears on Instagram and the way your life is in real life. And people think that the Instagram life is the real life. And if you really know the person, you know what's really going on in their life. Mm-hmm. And so I think what happens is people get jealous of the Instagram life, not knowing that this person may have a health issue or had a miscarriage or whatever it may be. There's real things going on in their life. And so I think it's just gotten so bad. I mean, so bad. And, you know, part of me, I think that's where I have become more of a homebody. Like, yes, I have a very close group of friends that I'll go out and see and stuff, but I don't have time in my life to sit around and watch people talk about other people. The minute I see that, I just close off and I don't want to be around it. I have better things to do. I would rather be around people who make me laugh. And I think life is too short now that I'm older to sit around and just listen to people pick people apart. So I think there's a reason sometimes why people isolate more if they're not picking nice friends and they're not picking girls or not girls, women to hang out with who are genuinely nice people, which I see you as a genuinely nice person. I think for you, I think it's not about being a mean girl.
Now that you say it,
Yeah.
I feel a little bit better about that. I do still wish that every single thing I do that makes people say you're a nice person was coming from the purest of all pure places.
But I don't think anyone, I think everybody has a little bit of that in them. Like,
Little
so
show off.
for instance, if I went and did something humongous for somebody, and I mean, I didn't even get a thank you or an acknowledgement in
Yes.
I don't think that's a mean girl wanting to be acknowledged for something you've done nice for somebody. I mean, if they didn't ask you to do it, maybe, I didn't ask you to do it. But I think as you get older, you have to live and learn. Like, if you do something nice for somebody and they're not acknowledging it, then I guess you won't be doing something nice for them next time. You know what I mean? Like, that's it.
Mel Robbins, who has
I
a
love
podcast
her.
that we love Mel
her.
Robbins. Oh, there's something else that she recently posted, and I have to tell you about this in an upcoming episode. Remind me to tell, and Google this, everyone, slithering. That's a Mel Robbins thing. We'll get to that. But she did a video the other day talking to young women, and young women were saying, I want to talk to all my, it starts with a girl saying, I'm in my 20s. Why is it so hard to make friends? And Mel Robbins comes on and says, let me tell you why. Because when you are in school, friendships are a big thing. You're
Right.
surrounded, but it becomes an individual sport when you're an adult.
Right.
You have to make effort,
Right.
and you have to forgive more, and you have to be patient and be willing to not see each other as much, and you have to be willing to meet people where they live and understand adult things that are happening in their life. It's not like school where they're going to be there the next day, one way or the other. It's completely different. And my best friends are ones that I can go months and catch up with them.
Right.
And it's like no time has passed. But having said that, there are still friendship circles where there is jealousy over who's spending more time with who. Oh, I thought she was so busy with her kids, and now I see she's at the town center or the shopping
Right.
center with so-and-so. So I think that
Yeah.
you
See,
have
I
to
don't get
have-
any of that.
Right. You have to be willing as an adult to not care about those things because people's time is managed differently. Sometimes something's more convenient. It doesn't mean someone likes you less than the other person. There's that jealousy.
Yeah, I don't have to deal with any of that because first of all, I work, but second of all, I couldn't even stand like that to me is like nails on a chalkboard. Like, why I thought she had to do this. Why is she spending time with so-and-so? I cannot. I mean, maybe it's something left over from high school that gives me anxiety or middle school or whatever. I just don't want to be around that anymore. I think that everybody at a certain age has to wake up one day and realize, like the other day, I realized this. I'm 62. If I'm lucky, I would live to 82. But after that, I mean, you know what I'm saying? You really have to think about how many summers you have left on this earth. How many Christmases do you have left on this earth? And do you want to spend it being like, she did this, and then I said I was going to go, but she said no, and then I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
We have that in the running community a little bit because there are some group team relay type events, and I've had my feelings hurt a couple of times not being on a list, not being on a team, being on the extra person's team, like the run over team.
Right.
And not being anyone's first choice. And sometimes I'll think to myself, gosh, I feel like I'm not anyone's top of mind. I feel like I'm everybody's friend, but nobody's top of mind. When that's probably not the case at all. But I'm sitting here worrying about, are you thinking about me every day? Like who's picking me for their team? And nobody needs to.
But that's because you're competitive.
But
See, I'm not competitive at all.
But it's not even about that because it really, even when it's a non-competitive thing, it's more about just being who would you pick when you were putting together. It's just a weird, it's just
Well,
a
that
weird
reminds me of
feeling.
like middle school when you were being picked in PE for
Yes,
a team. And
yes.
if you were the last one to be picked,
It's the
which,
worst
by the
feeling.
way, was always me because I'm not athletic at all. I mean, nobody wanted me on their team because I'm not an athlete. And so I think a lot of it does stem back from like your childhood.
Which you always say.
Which I say about everything. And I'm not saying dwell on it and sit around and go, God, when I'm saying you do have to sometimes look at your own behavior. Like, why do I care so much what they think? Why do I care that I wasn't picked for this relay team or whatever? Because really that's what it's about. It's always something that stems back to something else.
Yes.
And being a homebody probably stems back to something else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like not loving going out all the time and being a social butterfly. And you know what I mean? I think everything stems back to something else.
Surely it does. I feel like we could just go on and on and on.
It's a great topic.
It really, really is.
Yeah. So even though you're over 50.
Yeah.
So
that's
it
the
exists.
thing. That's the thing. So just remember this. Now, whether your perception of a mean girl is somebody who literally says something to your face and makes you feel worse, or you just get that vibe, or you're maybe around somebody who is always talking about other people.
Right. Look at that.
Look at that and wonder what it is about them. Maybe they need a little more boosting up.
Right.
Maybe that's what it is. Either way, just remember this. When you are over 50, instead of worrying what the mean girls think about you, you can let it go.
And don't look back.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. And before we wrap up, here are a couple of ways you can support us and stay connected. First, we invite you to join our free Facebook group called Uncluttered and Unfiltered Ladies Only. It's a great space to connect with like-minded women and share your thoughts. Second, be sure to subscribe or follow us wherever you listen. This way you'll be reminded whenever a new episode is released. We'd also appreciate it if you could leave us a review. And if you love what we do, consider giving us 5 stars. We don't know why that helps, but we're told it does. Check out our Patreon page where you can access episodes a day early, watch them on video, and enjoy them without commercials. We'll leave links to some of these things in our show notes. Thank you for your support. Women over 50, we see you and we love you.